So yeah, I'm here with my friend and colleague Jeff Hollins,
Hello.
and just wanted to talk to you about like what you're experiencing in this market and uh, specific situations of like how your listings have gone, the advice you're giving to sellers, the advice you're giving to buyers, because it's felt crazy in the fourth quarter of this year.
Definitely, there's been a turn where we were talking about how the market was kind of flat. It wasn't necessarily going up, but it was kind of flat. And now I feel like as we're getting closer to the end of the year, it's absolutely turned, and now it's just accelerating in a lot of price points, especially in my experiences. Look, if you're looking for an entry-level single-family home anywhere in the South Bay Peninsula, anywhere, let's say I have a buy right now approved up to about 1.2 million, and we were out there this weekend looking at properties and just madhouse. I mean, small homes too,
Right.
And people are very aggressive. And we 2 weeks ago we wrote an offer on a property listed for $1,150,000 in Blossom Valley, entry level, needed work. They had 17 offers on it, which is pretty incredible. Now I think that if we trust the process, I'll get my buyer into contract, and it's going to take a little time, but we'll get it done. But boy, first-time home buyers right now, single family home, there's some challenges that are out there. And then also I'm seeing even the move up buyer who is looking for really good schools, Cambrian, Campbell, Willow Glen, under 2 million.
Yeah.
Boy, that is a competitive market as well right now.
Really
It seems like
competitive.
there's so many people going to the same open houses that are every weekend. You
Seeing the
see them
same-
like
same
3 or 4
people.
times, right? And again, just a very competitive market. If you're a seller, boy, you have a hot product right now to put on the market. You're in complete control. But if you're a buyer and you get in, there's a lot of satisfaction. You're getting a really low interest rate, and if you're going to be there for 5 years, you're going to see solid appreciation because these are the most desirable neighborhoods.
So, but I think it's that low interest rates. That's what's I think keeping the market propped up this late in the year.
Yeah.
And inventory. I was just looking at that, like how many available properties there are in Santa Clara County now. Like 2018 was historically low, and it was higher this year up until about April, and after that it switched. And that's actually when it's kind of started to slow down in 2018 was the second half of the year.
I remember. Yeah.
But it is insane that it's been hovering like around 1,400 homes for sale at a time for the entire Santa Clara County for pretty much the entire year.
Yeah, it's not a traditional real estate cycle at all. Inventory levels have just remained the same. I mean, I feel like we see the same number of pending sales every week. Was it like 250, 300 in that range? It's incredible. Can this be sustained is the question, because I get that question a lot. And no one has a crystal ball, but definitely it's going to keep on going for at least another 6-7 months, and then we'll kind of reevaluate after that. But I'm expecting a pretty strong beginning of the year.
I think so too.
Yeah, I just there are a lot of buyers out there, and the interest rates are going to remain relatively low. Employment's strong here in the Bay Area. Everyone talks about this great exodus, but there's really and yes, there are people that are leaving the area, but it seems like there's somebody ready to fill that spot.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting year. More than ever, it's important that you hire the right real estate agent, obviously, because there's a lot of intricacies and challenges that we haven't seen in a while.
Well, so I mean that's something. Yeah, like we had this on a listing appointment that we just went on where the owner was kind of like, well, but my home's going to sell itself.
Right.
Kind of like, well, this is Silicon Valley. Like homes do sell, but like I had one to where I got an offer before we went on the market for 1.9, and the sellers were thinking like, well, we have so much decluttering we need to do. This is in a neighborhood where someone's probably just going to either gut it or they're going to knock the house down entirely. So 1.9 sounds pretty attractive, and I was like, hey, let's declutter, let's paint it, let's stage it, and let's see what happens. And then we got $2,250,000. So it's like,
that paid
would
off.
the house, would the house have sold itself? Yeah, for 1.9. And it's just like, if convenience and just walking away is, if that's the best way to go, sure. But if you're not trying to leave money on the table and you're trying to maximize your sales price, then there's certain things that are worth doing. I've been trying to do that with all my listing. It's just like, you don't need to do everything.
No.
You don't need like necessarily a brand new kitchen or a brand new bathroom.
You don't really need the bathrooms either.
It helps. Like, you're going to get the value back out of those. Right. But if you're trying to just do basic things to maximize it, it's like, do the painting, do the flooring.
You don't need to do big items right now.
Right.
It's just what the appearance. You got to clean it up and make it look pretty. And there's just the basic things you can do to that. And also, it's really great for sellers because it allows you to get the home on the market faster.
Sure. Well, I mean, that's another thing, because I'm looking at right now, it's just like, I don't want to put a home on the market during the Thanksgiving weekend. It's like last year, maybe people weren't traveling as much. This year, I think people will. And it's like, oh, I wanted to look at that home, but we're out of town, or we've got family coming over, or I need to go grocery shopping. And I'm trying to stay away from that week. I'm trying to either get listings on right before that or immediately afterwards. But it's just how it feels right now and how much time is left in the year. It's just like, I feel like we're racing the clock a little bit.
Yeah, I have. I just got a call from a client. I've already listed the property. It's off market right now, but he said, okay, we're ready to move and get going. They're moving out on the weekend. And I'm looking at the calendar, and I know he wants to get it on as quickly as possible, get it sold, preferably at least into contract this year. And I'm thinking, I don't know. This particular property I think might stay on the market a little bit longer. It's in a kind of a more of a senior type community, but I think we're going to go on quite possibly right before that Thanksgiving weekend, just because. There's going to be I think there's going to be a lot of inventory that comes on right afterwards.
Sure.
But I think there's also going to be plenty of buyers that are out there. I think people I think people don't really, there's going to be people that are traveling. I get that.
The serious people are usually out and still looking. I went through an open house on Sunday. I couldn't even walk down the hall. Yeah. There were so many people going through it. And you look at the price point, you're like, you can tell that it's low for the condition of the house. But it's still in line kind of with what things have sold for in the neighborhood. But then you look at some of the higher end prices in that area and you're like, this is probably going to reach that based on the level of activity that they have coming through.
Yeah. Well, I think that's, one of the concerns that I'm having right now with my buyers is, first of all, just trying to put a valuation on a property.
Sure.
Especially ones where, again, I'm kind of working one buyer in the entry level, and we get some small homes, small single family homes, some of them on bigger lots, where you pull up the comparable sales for the year and you go, yeah, I think it's going to sell a lot higher than the comparable sales.
There's two things that I've seen totally change what a house sells for. It's like, if you're looking at square footage and the condition and whatever else, big lots or views, I've seen that just bump up those properties into a whole other category as far as price goes.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and I just, especially on the big lots, I think people see just the opportunity, whether it's to build an ADU or extend, the property backwards, or even some people just want like a big backyard. You can do a pool, you can do a huge patio. A lot of them are not done. I saw a property over the weekend in Berryessa where big lot, beautiful house, but there was like nothing in the backyard, absolutely nothing. And what was really interesting was that we were at this open house, very busy open house, underpriced property. And just like you were saying, so many people that in the house that, we're kind of all trying to squeeze in. But, these were families in a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath on a big lot, maybe about 1,100 square feet. 3 kids, everybody just trying to figure out how they can make the house work. Boy, if you're a seller and you have one of those types of homes and you're thinking about selling, I just don't know why you wouldn't either kick it into gear now or at least kind of have a plan for the beginning of the year. And then if you're a buyer, I think that you have to be in the market. You have to be looking at and I know it's like a second job at times.
Sure.
And we as real estate agents can give guidance, but you have to be out there making the offers, or it's not going to happen. Really.
Well, that's the thing, because that's what I've been telling people as the market's been so hot during the spring and the summer. It's like fourth quarter,
Right.
November, December, January. These are when the prices usually start dropping. There's fewer people looking. It's like, yeah, there'll be fewer homes on the market, but also less competition. And while that's normally the case, it's just I'm not seeing it right now. So it is, I know it's frustrating for them.
Yeah.
And you're trying to advise as best as you can, and you're going off of experience and seasonal trends.
Yeah.
And you're just like, this is not aligning with the seasonal trend. But like you said, you have to be in it. Like there are certain times, like even last year, I got a client an amazing deal on a condo in Campbell. And it was offer after offer and being outbid. And for whatever reason, it was this 1 week where things kind of slowed down and things sat a little bit longer, and sellers did some aggressive pricing. It really didn't align, and we got in at the perfect moment. But if you're not in it and trying, then you're not there when those opportunities arise. So
exactly, you have to be out there, and there are really micro fluctuations that happen from week to week,
and it depends on the area.
Yeah,
I mean, how things go in Cambrian is sometimes different than how it's going to go in Los Gatos or Sunnyvale or something like that. So.
Yeah, all those areas seem to be pretty hot right now, though. I will say that. The other issue, that I'm discussing with a lot of my buyers right now is just the potential for appraisal issues. 20% is a good, solid down payment. It's not a huge down payment, but it's a solid down payment. But when we're looking at some of these properties, it's really important that as an agent, I'm able to convey to the listing agent, as a buyer's agent to the listing agent, that we have additional funds to covering a low appraisal, and that my client, my buyer, understands that, because of the market conditions right now, there's a good chance that property may not appraise, and we have to understand that you may be asked to bring additional funds to the table.
Sure. Thankfully, I haven't had to deal with that much. I don't know that I've had, even as competitive as things have been. Appraisal. I don't know. I think
appraisers are actually taking into this kind of accelerated upward trend market conditions into how they value properties. I've had some really good luck. I think they're all generally been pretty understanding of the situation.
Sure.
Well, that can always change, but. Just having those conversations so that it's every transparent. The buyer understands what they need to do to get a home, it goes back to if you're a seller and you have one of these homes, you're and I know I'm repeating myself, but you're in such good control right now. You have you can get a rent back period for free.
I just got a 59-day free rent back for a client that ultimately they decided on a lower offer. But took that because of that level of convenience. I mean, and that's another thing about, I understand some people don't like this, it's pricing it low, but it brings in a certain number of offers where you can, instead of having just one or two to choose from, it's just like, well, price, and you really don't have anyone to compare it to. But it's like, we love your price, but we don't like the terms that you included. And being able to say, hey, we need a shorter close of escrow, or we need a rent back, or you're able to ask for things as a seller that you might not be able to ask for if you only had one or two offers. Like when you have 10, then you can create this perfect
scenario. Yeah. What's your theory right now on offer dates? Because I think I have a lot of sellers that do ask me about that, and I have my own beliefs, but I'm curious to know which.
So to me, I had two properties in the same week, and my strategy shifted based on the activity and what was going on. So I had one in Santa Clara, and I got two incredibly strong offers right before the open house.
Yeah.
And this was that first crazy heavy rain that we had, and I was like, man, what is the Sunday open house even gonna be like?
it rained really hard.
Really hard, yeah. And so it was just like, I could see this impacting the number of people coming in and visiting, and looking at the price and thinking, I don't think that we're going to get more than this. And having experienced that earlier in the year where I got a great offer, waited for the offer deadline, and didn't get that same price, and not wanting to recreate that. But then I had another. So yeah, we ended up taking an offer before the open house, and in that case, the sellers felt good about it. I felt good about it. I feel like we made the right choice. And another one where people again were asking about a preemptive offer, and I said, no, we're going to wait, and we ended up with 10. And in that situation, I was glad that we did. We had a beautiful weekend for the open houses. So strategy shifts depending on the weather and the weekend and holidays and time of year. And
I think it's also situational. If it's an owner-occupied property,
for sure,
and if there's any hurdles or challenges to showing the property, and you get a preemptive offer that more than satisfies what the seller's expectations are, and the convenience potentially of not going through the entire process.
Yeah.
I see benefits to that. Also, if you're listing a home that may not be in one of these hot areas and neighborhoods that we're in,
sure,
and you get a preemptive offer that again satisfies the seller's expectations.
Yeah.
You may not want to go all the way to the offer date because I properties that are not in these hot areas are still selling, and they have to be priced perfectly. They really have to be appropriate. But that said, look, if you have a vacant property, the home is in a desirable top school district area, priced under $2 million or so. Man, offer dates, definitely set them and drive all the traffic toward that offer date, and I know that the seller's going to get everything that they want.
Yeah.
And you did that on your did you do that on your Rodney listing? Did you end up taking a preemptive on that?
No, we waited for the offer deadline, and we got a really strong offer, but I only had 3 offers.
Right.
So that was one where, that's kind of, I've seen it shift, and it depends on where it is. So like the Sunnyvale, Santa Clara ones, crazy activity. Camry and Campbell, certain pockets there, it's like you're still going to get a terrific price, but maybe you're not going to have as many buyers looking in that. Or it was kind of a funky floor plan too. Yeah. I think there's certain things.
That's another thing to talk about, funky floor plan. Maybe if you have a funky floor plan, you decide to take that really nice offer.
But even the one I had in Santa Clara, there's another house that's on the market that is so much more nicely remodeled than mine is. A bigger lot, a bigger house, and it's still sitting there because it backs up to Lawrence Expressway. So, and the people that missed out, they're like, oh, why'd you take an offer before the open house? Like, I was like, hey, this other one's available right here. And they're like, well, it's not even comparable. So some people they are not even willing to consider a busy street or high tension power lines in the backyard. So like, while the market is incredibly hot, I think there are certain things that are going to slow you down a little bit.
Yeah.
But
for the most part, yeah, I think that still setting an offer date, at least tentatively, is kind of still good practice
for sure.
And yeah, I'm just excited for this next couple of months because I do believe, unlike years in the past where December can kind of be like the realtor's time to start business planning and kind of getting out the holiday cards and things like that. I think that end of November, December going to be really busy.
That's the way it's shaping up. Yeah. So let's close with this. If you had to predict what from now into next year, what's your expectation?
My expectation is to continue to see low inventory. Rates, I think, are going to maybe adjust a little bit higher, but not so much that it's going to have a large effect on the marketplace. I think the first 6 months of 2022 are just going to be the same thing. We're going to see increased inventory as we get towards the spring. But there is and I say it's so funny. I always say this because I feel it, but I'm not sure. There has got to be a point where the values have just gone so high that there's got to be an adjustment.
For sure.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm feeling right now, is like that happened in 2018 because that seasonal trend of usually the prices are highest in the summer, which for the county as a whole has been true, but you just see pockets where that's simply not the case right now. 2017 December prices were the highest, and we entered 2018 and it was so crazy because the inventory was so low and the prices were so high. But then it burned out by May.
I think there's a possibility of next year doing the same thing, especially with inflation and the cost of gas right now, and everything's awfully expensive
for sure.
And if that continues as well, I think there's a chance that we could have a little burnout. And so if I'm a seller, I'm saying, hey, I really would like to get my home on the market within that next 6 to 8 months, because we just don't know what's going to happen after that. I'll say the same thing about buyers is that look, home ownership is more desirable than ever right now, especially where people are working from home and not going into the office as much. And if you're looking to be in a home for at least 3 to 5 years, small fluctuations in the market aren't going to affect you.
Especially if you have an interest rate, it's like
a 3%,
2.75.
Yeah, exactly. If you have this low interest rate, it is still the best way for people to build wealth. For the Bay Area. For the Bay Area, yeah. It really, honestly, it's just where else can you? And I'm not saying it's going to happen like this, but it's happened this year. Where else can you own a home and get $100,000 to $200,000 of, appreciation in 1 year? It's like,
or even a 6 months period.
Yeah, right. It's
the median sales price from October of this year compared to last year is up 12%.
Yeah,
and it's just like, I've been waiting for things to cool off, and I thought that was 2018. It was just like, okay, we reached the peak, and now things start to pull back, and 2019 was a pretty flat year and lower. And then I was like, well, if anything's going to correct this market, it's going to be a pandemic. And it did the opposite, where at least for the single-family home market, it really increased it. And then this year has been insane. So real estate is cyclical. It's going to go down again at some point, but I don't think that we're going to see the kind of drop-off that we saw in 09, 10, 11. So
no, I don't foresee that at all. There's always fluctuations, but I think the general trend is going to continue is upwards. Now, not at double digits, but
right.
I think Silicon Valley in general is it's such a great place. It's expensive, but it's such a great place to own an asset.
Right. And so I would say that's kind of my expectation for next year. It's like, we've seen double-digit appreciation this year. I think the market's going to go up next year, but maybe more along the lines of like 3 to 5%. But who knows?
Who knows exactly?
But we both have sellers and buyers to help out. So let's get out there.
Let's get to work. All right.